Well, thanks, everyone. My name is Carol McLeod. So how can stories change the world? In the past 7 years, I've worked in various capacities for 2 storytelling organizations, and I also became a copywriter. So what do you think of when you hear the word storytelling? Here's what most people think. And I'm going to tell you what I think and how I believe that stories will change the world. So storytelling. It's humanity's most basic technology and the original art form. Regardless of the medium, we are still drawn to the warmth of a good story. Storytelling has the ability to transform lives, communities, and societies. And I'm not just talking fairy tales or anecdotes either. Stories come in many shapes and forms and can be used in many different ways. What began for me as an interest purely in performance-based traditional storytelling soon evolved into a curiosity about the wider aspects of storytelling. I became interested especially in how stories can build, foster, and enable change, how it can be used in all areas of life and business. I also noticed how many people around me were completely reluctant to change. At the same time, I was a freshly trained copywriter, full of features, benefits, and with my suitcase full of the psychology of persuasion. I struggled not just to find my own niche, but to find my voice. Something about the field made me feel completely at odds and disconnected. In 2009, the light bulb went off. I realized what my missing link was. I was not allowing story into my copywriting world. You see, audiences are suspicious more than ever about being persuaded or influenced, right? The pieces of the puzzle fell into place. How many of you have attended the storytelling nights here at the factory? Good. I believe that people should relish the opportunity to tell their own story to a supportive audience, where you're free to tell whatever you want, however painful, touching, or emotional it might be. My favorite thing about these nights? Learning about what motivates us, hearing what we've overcome or dealt with in life, giving a very special part of ourselves over to an audience to process and accept, budding friendships, understanding, and catharsis. This is raw human emotion at its very best. These people know how to tell a story. It's just part of our nature. They tell fluffy stories, stories of loss and redemption, of journeys here and there and back again, of pain, of basic human dynamics that really haven't changed since humanity first started to tell stories. This is special stuff happening here. It's in these fleeting moments of apprehension, the type where you know something magical is going to happen, when you're balancing on the cusp of something transcendent, that I feel most connected to the people around me. Stories will connect us all. Stories connect us to ourselves, our tribe, and our collective society. So let's talk about change. Here's one example of recent groundbreaking changes that left many people bewildered. Let's face it, how many were really upset at the changes that Facebook did recently? How many of you have quit Facebook and moved back to MySpace? No. So how can a story enact change? By its very nature, a story moves from what is to what could be. Within that is tension, the conflict, the game changer. Stories alert us to the possibility of betterment, that life can be different, that we have options other than the status quo. So how does anything new or different make its way from the unfamiliar into mainstream acceptance? Stories are how we perceive our reality and are at the heart of every change and innovation. Change the story and you change the reality. So here's an example of social storytelling that is happening right in front of our eyes, ones that will have huge ramifications. While numbers and raw data like this are static and don't necessarily evoke emotion in us, see what happens, however, when we look at some of the stories unfolding from the Occupy movement. Do you feel more emotionally connected to this story? The author Christina Baldwin says that words are how we think, stories are how we link. We are hardwired for narrative, and stories are the most powerful tool we have to deliver meaning and to resonate with our listeners. And as Ethel here says, don't be afraid of change. We all need a bigger story. What's the next step of your journey, whether it's personal, community-based, or global? I'm going to leave you with one last thought, and that is, what's one story right now that you have the power to change? Thank you.